Ever since Kings Dominion announced that they would be closing Volcano the Blast Coaster, people have been wondering what is going to replace it. Because one thing we can all agree on is that it is clear that the decision to remove Volcano was not one made far in advance. This was clearly a last-minute decision based off of finances, the situation that the coaster was in, and so Cedar Fair and Kings Dominion made the decision to take it out, which left a huge hole in their lineup. The park essentially took out their most popular roller coaster. Volcano was always more popular than Intimidator. I'd say probably Twisted Timbers is now the most popular coaster in the park, but I think because of that, we've always assumed that Cedar Fair would want to replace it as soon as possible. Leaving an empty field in the middle of the park just doesn't look good. They want that spot filled fast. And we might have our answer for what could be replacing Volcano. Our friends at KDFans.com uncovered some news. It looks like Kings Dominion at one point was considering a B&M wing coaster. And I say was because if you read their article, which I highly recommend by the way, it's filled with tons of information. Basically what they say is that they believe the plans are a little old, so they might not be up to date on what the park is currently doing. It could still mean that they're going to add a wing coaster. However, the specifics of it likely are going to change, especially since this would be a 2021 project, and as of when this video is being made, it's November of 2019. The park has plenty of time to make changes. So let's assume, for the time being, that the plans that they uncovered are still current, which is also a possibility. But what I just want you to do while you're watching this video is keep in mind that there is a high chance not all of this is going to come to fruition. I'll throw a link also to the article down in the description below so you can read it further in detail. But I want to give my personal breakdown on what this ride could be and what it means for the park and Cedar Fair in general. A quick breakdown of the layout. We're looking at a ride roughly around 100 feet tall with 5 inversions. It would be one of the smaller B&M wing coasters out there. And I see a lot of people upset about that. However, I personally do not have a problem with it. And I don't think you should either. Come on guys, we're coaster enthusiasts. One thing that we should know more than anyone is that stats don't determine how good a ride is. If it did, then King Dakar would be the best coaster in the world, but it's not. Stats are not everything. If it's a smaller B&M wing coaster, all that means is it's going to be a bit more compact. You're going to take those elements at a quicker pace, which in my opinion, I would rather have that than a much larger drawn out wing coaster, something like Gatekeeper. I love compact rides. But let's take a look at this. We got that wing over drop. These are always awesome. I'd be frankly disappointed if they were getting a wing coaster that didn't have one. Second inversion, 0 G-roll, followed by a Junior Immelman, then a Heartline roll. My guess would be that the near miss element would be located there, but we will see. Low to the ground turn into a corkscrew, and then a bank turn into the brake run. So it's not the longest ride out there, but then again, neither was Volcano. It's worth noting that the coaster is almost a clone of Wings of Glory or Heaven's Wing at HB World in China. The difference is they left out the vertical loop and the helix at the end. I personally have not ridden Wings of Glory. However, I've heard it's a pretty good wing coaster. I think it's interesting that if they do go with this layout, that they decide to leave out some of those elements. So technically that would not make this ride a clone, but it is similar to a ride that is out there. I personally don't have a problem with the similarity because how many people are actually going to go out to China and ride that in addition to this? 0.00001%? Exactly. So personally, that doesn't bother me. But let's move on to how this would fit in the park. If you look at it, it's actually fairly small. They are leaving a lot of space untouched. Mainly that big turnaround on the back side of the park. So is this the best fit to replace Volcano? No. An ideal replacement would take up all of the land that Volcano occupied. But I think it's also interesting the placement that they decided to go with, assuming that this is accurate. If you look, the lift hill and the wing over drop actually goes over one of the current pathways. That makes for some pretty cool visuals. They would have to relocate or remove the scrambler, which I personally don't think would be a problem. If you look at the expanded Safari Village Plaza, if you just move it over there in between the wing coaster and Avalanche, there you go. So in my opinion, the only major problem that I have with this, again, assuming that it hasn't changed already, is that they aren't using all of the space to their advantage. If you want my opinion, what probably happened is that it's either a budget thing where Cedar Fair's like, okay, we weren't planning on removing Volcano, but because we did, we got quickly find a replacement. This wing coaster looks good, let's put it here. So that's possibility A. And with that possibility, you have to think they probably already had other ideas for other coasters that could go around to other Cedar Fair parks, which would mean that King's Dominion might not have been the main priority for 2021. Maybe it was California's Great America or Dorney. Wouldn't that be nice? We just don't know yet. With that being said, I think it is still a good addition. And let me explain myself. First of all, this is only the second wing coaster that Cedar Fair has installed, the other one being Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. So now King's Dominion and Cedar Point are really starting to share a lot of similarities. They both have the only Intamin Giga coasters out there, they both would have the only wing coasters in the Cedar Fair chain, and they currently also have the only RMC hybrids in the Cedar Fair chain. Don't you think that's interesting? I personally think it is. Next, here's also why it's a good addition. The next nearest wing coaster is like 7 hours away from King's Dominion, and that's Dollywood with Wild Eagle. That opened back in 2012. And again, how many people go to both King's Dominion and Dollywood? I'd say more than the amount of people go to HB World in China. I'd say 2 or 3% at best. So I think a wing coaster totally worked. And actually, if you look back to my Volcano replacement theory video I did a while back, I made 3 main predictions for what would replace Volcano, and a B&M wing coaster was one of them. The other 2 were a Gerstlauer Infinity, such as Hang Time, and what I personally was hoping for, a large-scale GCI like Gold Striker. So, am I sad that it's looking like it won't be a GCI? I mean, I personally think it's a missed opportunity because it's Safari Village, it's a wood coaster, I think theming would be great, and it'd be nice to see King's Dominion get a modern wood coaster, but hey, I'll say this. I think a wing coaster would work really well, especially since Dominator was not a B&M built specifically for King's Dominion. That came from Geauga Lake. So this would be a second B&M in the park. I think it is so different from Volcano that's a good thing. What would it look like if King's Dominion decided to install another launch coaster in Volcano's spot? I just don't think it would work well. I think a wing coaster, especially since it has a vastly different seating arrangement than Volcano, which was an inverted coaster, it's a really smart business decision. Maybe if you're an enthusiast watching this, you're a little disappointed, but parks don't really cater to the enthusiasts. This is a GP crowd pleaser. Wing coasters are always loved. Ask the average visitor to Dollywood what their favorite coaster is there. Most will tell you Wild Eagle. They won't say Lightning Rod. Plus, King's Dominion kind of already catered to the enthusiasts when they built Twisted Timbers. That's all the fans wanted, was an RMC. Well, we got it. Now we're getting a ride that's going to cater a bit more to the public. And that is just fine with me because I understand that is a smart business decision. And like I said, the stats don't bother me. My main concerns at this point are how are they going to theme it? My guess would be probably some sort of African bird theme. I hope that they actually take the time to theme it well. Give them a Copperhead Strike style queue. That could be so awesome. What I'm hoping doesn't happen is that they decide to theme the coaster to Monster Jam, because I know there was a rumor going around that Cedar Fair is in talks with Monster Jam to theme one of their roller coasters to it. But I personally think it would be a kind of weird theme, especially in Safari Village. Like, we already have a NASCAR themed and alien ride here. We don't need a monster truck ride here. How about something actually Safari themed? I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. And I'm really holding out that they'll do a near miss, because some wing coasters these days aren't adding them, and I think it's a shame because I think near miss elements on wing coasters are the best. If they use that Heartline roll as that near miss, that could be a great spectacle because it looks like you're going to enter the queue right where that coaster is going to be passing over you. So again, I personally am not bothered by the fact that it's looking like King's Dominion will get a wing coaster. I think it's a nice way to further diversify their lineup. And of course, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's completely possible that these plans could change. Maybe we'll end up seeing a taller coaster, maybe they'll adjust the placement, maybe they'll add an extra element, we don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's going to do it for my thoughts on if King's Dominion decides to go with a B&M wing coaster to replace Volcano. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this. If you agree with what I've said, if you think I missed something, be sure to post it down below. And of course, click that link in the description to check out the original article by KDFans.com. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.